Hey everyone, guess what? We are on the very last unit. We are almost done. So great work making it this far. Let's go ahead and get into it. So we are on unit 7, development. You're going to see hopefully a lot of things that we've already covered before. This very first objective, 7.1, the Industrial Revolution, should feel very familiar. So as you can see, we have 8 general objectives. Today we're on the first one. So overall, you need to be able to explain how the Industrial Revolution facilitated the growth and also the diffusion of industrialization. So first big takeaway, industrialization began as a result of new technologies and was facilitated by the availability of natural resources. So let's go ahead and break that down a little bit. First, industrialization / the Industrial Revolution. This was a period of profound technological, economic, and social change. So all of these are interrelated. We see these like pushing each other forward. And the hearth of this was in Britain in the late 18th century. That was where this technology started to begin and then spread outward from there. First to what we would consider some of the most industrialized countries today. What we saw in terms of some major changes happening was we had an agrarian economy or cottage industry economy. So essentially a cottage industry, this means that goods or services is based in people's homes. So it's like what you see in this image here, right? People in their homes making things by hand. Usually these processes take a long time. We do still have cottage industry today. These are usually like very like well-made, handcrafted goods, like artisan goods. And then also quick note on agrarian, that just means like farming. So that was the economy prior to the revolution. Then we see that shift for goods and services to be mechanized, and we start to see factory production take over. So as you can see, these two images, these are making the same products. They're making textiles, but here you see this young woman at a huge machine. Kind of further down the row, you see more people. So this was mechanized and in a factory setting. Also, industrialization spread. It caused food supplies to increase and population to grow. This allowed new workers to have industrial jobs in the cities, and then we saw class structures start to change because of that. So we've already covered this, guys, the agricultural revolution, right? So these technologies were then applied to agricultural tools. So what we saw is new inventions to help agricultural production. Examples would be the seed drill, the mechanical reaper, threshing machine. These are just a few of them. And what this caused was the yields to increase and the manual labor decreased. So even though it was less, human input, we saw more product. For this agricultural revolution, this is a second agricultural revolution. You should remember this from Unit 5. Mechanization was a hallmark, right? That is what like encapsulates this second agricultural revolution. And then also, this is where we see rural to urban migration. So the young lady that you saw in one of the previous slides working at that textile factory, that means we see more jobs in cities, so then people will move there. These two images here, these are machinery. This is not elements that are being created by hand. At the beginning, we still saw, like horses using these machines. And then eventually we see that shift to like coal-powered or steam-powered machinery. And lastly, investors in the industry sought out more raw materials and new markets to be able to sell to. This caused the rise of colonialism and imperialism. So this is what we see here, right? So industrialization increased the demand for raw materials, such as minerals, things like copper, cobalt, a lot of others, things like cotton, rubber, gold, gems like diamonds and things like that, spices like tea. So this is not only raw materials, that is definitely part of it, but also being able to process these things to be able to sell at a larger scale, right? Like tea. So a few things that are related to this: the expansion of empires through colonization and imperialism. these tended to be European countries, right, colonizing and expanding their empires. In doing this, they gained control over territories that had a lot of natural resources. So Africa and Asia are the ones that see the brunt of this during this particular time period. This is where we see the scramble for Africa. We see a lot of migration, a lot of movement from place to place, and that was also intended to help develop these global trade networks. So these colonies were not only harvested for their raw materials, but they were also new markets for these European countries. Typically, the policies that were in place around this enhanced the economic dominance of these industrialized nations, aka the colonizing nations. So in the image that we see here, this is an example of the British Empire in the 1920s. So in these different regions, in these different areas, Britain was taking these raw materials and then also selling finished products back to these areas. So it opened up new markets for them as well. So that's it for this one. What I want you guys to do, think about how we can connect these ideas to other units from the course. We are at the tail end of our AP Human Geography class, and the exam is on the horizon. So I know I mentioned a few. Go ahead and brainstorm. What else can you see in terms of connections to what we've already covered? So that is it for 7.1. I will see you guys in 7.